Hello, YouTubers and NFL fans everywhere. This is Matt, the NFL Fanatic, giving you my Week 16 2021 NFL predictions. Well, this is a rare video for me in terms of when I'm recording this video and how the week is going. So, this is a Tuesday video that is getting recorded while Week 15 is still going on. I know I usually do my videos on Mondays, but due to the significant COVID outbreak in the NFL, as everybody that's been an NFL fan probably well knows, 3 games got postponed. There were 2 played last night. There are going to be 2 played tonight. And that's how I'm into the situation that I'm recording on a Tuesday with two games left instead of my usual Monday with 1 game left on Monday Night Football. But I am going to make this video fairly quickly, just because it's kind of one of those weird things where there's still two games that haven't been decided and outcomes could change. And depending on what happens with those games, depending on what happens, I will definitely give an update to my prediction if any significant injuries happen after tonight's games. But this week, after the great stretch of weeks of my against the spread picks over the past 3 weeks, having winning records and all that, this week I had a pretty tough week against the spread. So far this week I am 5-9 against the spread. Though straight up, I was able to get another double-digit week so far, having 2 more games tonight to help get that to a 12-win week, which is 75%. I will gladly take that, so that equals 35.7% against the spread. I'm on 5-9, and straight up, I am 10-4 this week so far. That equals up to 36 and 71% respectively. And once again, for everybody out there, tonight I have the Philadelphia Eagles -4 and straight up, and Los Angeles Rams -7 and the Los Angeles Rams straight up. And now overall for the year, my record against the spread is now 101, 117 with 4 pushes. And straight up now I'm 140, 81, and 1. That equals up to 46.4% against the spread. And straight up that equals to 63.3% straight up. So definitely I'm not going to get to that 500 mark with 48 games left to go in the regular season and another 11 or 12 in the postseason. Who knows? I would need to win at least. I have like 2 possible double-digit winning records against the spread, which I'm not expecting. And straight up, I can get to my average. I still think I can. We have 64 games or 48 games to go. 48 games to go in the regular season. 63.3%. If I get 2 more wins tonight, that gets it up a little bit higher. I think I can get to that 65, 66% range with 3 more good weeks of straight up picking, and I still have the playoff games as well. So like I said, this is going to be a quick video, and since the week's not over, I'm not going to talk about. I might talk about the picks, but I'm not going to do a early or a week in review segment like I do in my usual videos. I'm just going to go straight into my picks. So for this Thursday night for Week 16, which is in 2 days, when the 8-6 San Francisco 49ers travel to Tennessee to take on the 9-5 Tennessee Titans, the San Francisco 49ers are 3.5-point favorites in this game. I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers here -3.5 and the San Francisco 49ers straight up. Then the next game on Christmas Day, and I want to wish everybody out there a happy holiday, a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Festivus. Everybody out there that celebrates a holiday or doesn't, hope everybody out there through this time of year has a great and wonderful holiday season. But speaking on Christmas Day, we have 2 interesting games. There's definitely 1 great game and maybe 1 bit of a clunker. When the 7-7 Cleveland Browns travel to Green Bay to take on the 11-3 Green Bay Packers, the Green Bay Packers are 7.5-point favorites in this game, giving the Green Bay Packers are -7.5 and the Green Bay Packers straight up. Then the next game on Christmas night, when the 8-6 Indianapolis Colts travel to Arizona to take on the 10-4 Arizona Cardinals, the Indianapolis Colts are 1-point underdogs in this game, so essentially this game is a pick'em game. And I'm going to take the upset here. I'm going to take the very slight upset here and taking the Indianapolis Colts here +1 and the Indianapolis Colts straight up. Then the next game, when the 2-11-1 Detroit Lions travel to Atlanta to take on the 6-8 Atlanta Falcons, the Atlanta Falcons are 4-point favorites in this game, giving the Atlanta Falcons here -4 and the Atlanta Falcons straight up. Then the next game in the battle for the AFC North, when the 8-6 Baltimore Ravens travel to Cincinnati to take on the 8-6 Cincinnati Bengals, the Cincinnati Bengals are 2.5-point favorites in this game, giving the Cincinnati Bengals here -2.5 and Cincinnati Bengals straight up. Then the next game, when the 10-4 or the 10-4 or 9-5 Los Angeles Rams travel to Minnesota to take on the 7-7 Minnesota Vikings. The Los Angeles Rams are 3-point favorites in this game, giving the Los Angeles Rams here -3, and the Los Angeles Rams straight up. Then the next game, when the 8-6 Buffalo Bills travel to New England to take on the 9-5 New England Patriots, first place in the AFC East on the line. The New England Patriots are 2.5-point favorites in this game. This game is really close to call, so I'm going to hedge my bet here. I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills here on the line against the spread, +2.5, but I'm going to take the New England Patriots straight up, so I'm going to hedge my bet here, regardless of what happens, so we'll see how that goes. And then the next game, in the second best toilet bowl compared to last week, between Jacksonville and Houston, when the 2-12 Jacksonville Jaguars travel to New York to take on the 3-11 New York Jets in Toilet Bowl Part 2, I'm going to do the same thing here, but nearly just for the opposite reason. I'm going to take the Jags, once again, I'm going to take the underdog here, +2.5 in Jacksonville, but I'm going to take the New York Jets straight up. It's very much kind of like the opposite way, of where with the Bills Patriots, that's an even game to where you don't know who's going to win, so it just feels kind of good to hedge. With Jags Jets, you don't care who wins, and that's just one to where somebody has to win. I was right with the Texans before. You know, I thought about taking the Jags, but I don't know. They didn't look great against the Texans. Davis beat him. Zach Wilson showed some life, so So I'm going to hedge my bet there. Because I can see the Jets squandering it, and the Jags could easily win, but same thing with the Jets, so there's that. So once again, I have the Jaguars +2.5 for the New York Jets straight up. The next game, when the 4-10 New York Giants travel to Philadelphia to take on the 7-7 or 6-8 Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles are 10-point favorites in this game, giving the Philadelphia Eagles here -10, and the Philadelphia Eagles straight up. Then the next game, when the 10-4 Tampa Bay Buccaneers travel to Carolina, take on the 5-9 Carolina Panthers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 10.5-point favorites in this game, giving me Tampa Bay here -10.5, and Tampa Bay straight up. Then the next game, when the 8-6 Los Angeles Chargers travel to Houston to take on the 3-11 Houston Texans. The Los Angeles Chargers are 8-point favorites in this game, giving the Los Angeles Chargers here -8, and the Los Angeles Chargers straight up. Then the next game, when the 4-10 Chicago Bears travel to Seattle, take on the 6-8 or 5-9 Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks are 7-point favorites in this game, giving the Seattle Seahawks here -7, and the Seattle Seahawks straight up. Then the next game, when the 7-6-1 Pittsburgh Steelers travel to Kansas City, take on the 10-4 Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs are 10-point favorites in this game. Give me the Kansas City Chiefs here to win straight up, but I'm going to take Pittsburgh +10. Then the next game, when the 7-7 Denver Broncos travel to Las Vegas to take on the 7-7 Las Vegas Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders are 1.5-point favorites in this game. Give me Las Vegas here -1.5, and Las Vegas straight up. Then the next game on Sunday Night Football, when the 6-8 or 7-7 Washington Football Team travels to Dallas to take on the 10-4 Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys are 10.5-point favorites in this game. I'm going to do the opposite, against the spread like I did in Tampa Bay, Carolina. I'm going to take Dallas here to win straight up, but I'm going to take Washington, the Washington Football Team, +10.5. And finally, in the Monday Night Football game, and my biggest upset of the weekend, when the 7-7 Miami Dolphins travel to New Orleans to take on the 7-7 New Orleans Saints. The Miami Dolphins are 3-point underdogs in this game. Essentially, that's a home field advantage type of spread. I'm going to take the road underdog here to win this game outright. So giving the Miami Dolphins here +3 and the Miami Dolphins straight up. All right, it's time for my thoughts on each game. The San Francisco 49ers over the Tennessee Titans. I'm taking the 49ers in this game based on the fact of pure momentum, consistency of play. The Niners defense has been sensational. They've had a turnover in 6 straight games. Garoppolo's had a quarterback rating of 90+ in 8 straight games. Jeff Wilson had a 100-yard rushing day. I was really impressed with how they got pressure on Matt Ryan. Cordell Patterson and that run game really couldn't do anything. And I'm just looking at the Titans from what I saw over the last several weeks. Their offense has not nearly been the same since Derek, Julio, and A.J. all left. I know A.J. Brown has been designated off the IR for return. And it's one of those things where they could get him back, but they lost Julio Jones in the game, in last week's game, to a nagging hamstring injury that could have him out for this Thursday's game due to the short week. And I look at the Niners and go, they have a better defensive line. I trust their offensive line. They can run the ball more effectively. The quarterbacks are about a push, even though Jimmy's been playing much better than Tannehill has been. Though the thing that kicked the Titans' rear ends on Sunday was the fact they turned it over 4 times. And Joe Hayden with that sensational tackle on the 4th and 6th play. That was a horrible spot by the refs. I can't believe they even gave him the first down initially in that moment. But it's also just one of those things to where, like, when I just watch the Niners, it's if the Titans were fully healthy, I kind of see them in the similar mindset of the Niners, but they're not. And I just watch the Niners and go, Kyle Shanahan and the Niners have more momentum. They have healthier players. They hopefully will get Elijah Mitchell back soon. Their secondary's playing, more effectively. D'Amico Ryan's done a good job with a top 10 level defense in that front 7. George Kittle is having a sensational year as always, even with the games missed. Deebo Samuel was leading the Niners in rushing touchdowns as a wide receiver, which is nuts. I still don't think he's that great of a receiver. Okay, I think Tyler Lockett's better than him, and just my personal opinion, but it's but I look at the 49ers here as the more healthier team, the team that has better momentum. I like their running style, and I just think with the Titans, if they can double A.J. Brown, if Julio can't go, they can't. Nikakini Westbrook, Chester Rogers, Freddie Swain, Michael Pruitt, Ferkser. Those weapons are not nearly going to be effective and significant enough unless the Titans get a significant pass rush, which I don't think they will, even with Bud Dupree back. I just think the Niners are just the more consistent and effective team. And if the Titans, Tannehill keeps... There's just also part of me going, in this moment, Tannehill's been a little bit more cracking under pressure compared to Jimmy. You could say their talents are about the same, but I'll take Jimmy Garoppolo to play a more efficient game and a more turnover error-free game compared to Ryan Tannehill in this game. This is going to be a huge moment for the Titans, who are essentially going to be fighting for the division, if my picks go correctly, which is something that I did not expect after they swept them and they had a 3-game lead. But for the Titans to choke, and again, there's the injuries are a factor. Absolutely, that's going to be huge. I think the Titans still make the playoffs, but I think the key thing that they will have is if Julio can get healthy and Derrick Henry's in the volcano like Godzilla getting healthy. If those 2 guys can get back and A.J. Brown can stay healthy, this Titans team is going to be the sleepiest, probably most dangerous team in the playoffs that people have forgotten about or, forgotten in the early part of the year how good they were. So that's why I like the San Francisco 49ers here -3.5 and San Francisco 49ers straight up. The next game, the Green Bay Packers over the Cleveland Browns. This one was fairly easy. Look, the Packers played a sensational offensive game against the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to congratulate Aaron Rodgers for throwing his 442nd touchdown pass. That ties him with Brett Favre for the most touchdown passes, I believe, in terms of, pure number of touchdowns, which is amazing. And also, I think just for the Packers franchise, so obviously this Sunday, or on Christmas Day, what a great present for Aaron Rodgers to pass Brett Favre for the all-time touchdown record, at that spot. I thought that Mercedes Lewis had a good game. Even though you could argue the Ravens kind of punched themselves in the foot with all the bad decision making, the 4th down call early on from the 3-yard line. I think we should have taken the points. Same thing at the end. I would have taken the extra point and made Rodgers beat us. Do I think we would have lost in regulation? Probably. 42 seconds. Rodgers needed a field goal. That's probably not a great sign. But we tried the 2-point conversion. It failed. The Ravens are now 2 for 8 on those 2-point conversions, and all the Packers need to do was get an onside kick. Though, hey, kudos to Matt LaFleur, though. 35-9 or 34-9. He has been a sensational coach for his first 3 years. I think I said he is the only coach in NFL history to have 3 consecutive division titles and 3 10-plus win seasons in his first three seasons. So, job well done to him. I know Rodgers is a huge part of that. But I just look at the Browns and go, look, the Browns yesterday played a heck of a game with all the people on COVID. They lost Takk McKinley to an Achilles injury, a bust of a pass rusher. Hopefully he's okay, but they really didn't miss much there. And it's like, okay, look, you can get Clowney back. You can get they got John Johnson back. You can get everybody back. You can get Baker back, Jarvis back, Hooper back. You can get everybody back. I just don't think it's going to mean that much against a Packer team that, still that has the driver's seat. All they have to do is win out the final 3 games, which are them is the Browns, the Vikings, and the Lions. They win out those 3 games. They're the number 1 seed. Do I think the Browns could be competitive? Sure, because I think the Browns' offensive line fully healthy can limit Packers' defensive rush. But even though Green Bay could get Kenny Clark back, which would be significant to help that interior of the offensive or in the interior of the defensive line against the stout offensive line of Cleveland's. And it's just something where, again, Rodgers has just been on a roll. And I've seen the Browns secondary against the Cardinals offense got shellacked. The Browns had moments. I'm just trying to think here. Pittsburgh beat them in a gritty game. Or like I've seen against these high-powered offenses, they can lose games in high amounts to the Chiefs and the Cardinals. And the Packers have a similar type of offense with Rodgers and his crew. I think he has a better running back than maybe not the Browns, but he has a better running back than the Cardinals do. And I just think the Packers are just on a sensational roll. And I don't think the Browns, even if they get all their staff and roster back, they could make competitive. So, because they made Tyler Huntley, who for a Raven quarterback, a first quarterback in the first year to have 2 rushing and 2 passing touchdowns in the same game. So job well done to him. But I just think the Packers are they're getting healthier. They're going to get Jair back. They're going to get Sedarius back soon or eventually. They're going to be a well-rounded team. The Browns offense really could not do that much. I think the Packers defensive line will hold up pretty well against the Browns offensive line. And I just think Rodgers outplays Baker. And they just use Jones and Dillon to pound through the Browns defense, just like Josh Jacobs said yesterday. And I think the Packers win off of that strategy in an efficient way that they win by at least 8 points. Who knows? Maybe Cleveland, they'll be desperate. They'll throw some 2-point conversions, some odd trick plays. Who knows? But I'm going to take the Packers here at home on Christmas night with Rodgers, touchdown record. Hopefully Brett Favre's in the building. I think it's too much of a perfect storm for the Packers to win this game at the Frozen Thunder. So that's why the Green Bay Packers here -7.5, and the Green Bay Packers straight up. The next game, the Indianapolis Colts over the Arizona Cardinals. This is a game to where I am taking the Colts here because the Cardinals, just for everybody out there, after starting 7-0, and they were 7-0 on the road, and they've won every one of their road games by 10+ points, they're now 3-4 in their last 7 games. They're 10-4, and they went from being the number 1 overall seed in the NFC to now they are, I believe, 4th. They're the 4 seed, and they genuinely could lose this division to the Rams because they have the Colts and the Cowboys and the Seahawks. I think they beat the Seahawks at the end, regardless of what happens. Maybe the Seahawks won based on the Cardinals not having to play for anything. But that's just really sad to where the Cardinals just at this moment, on Sunday, all they had to do was beat the worst team in the National Football League, the Detroit Lions, the 1-11-1 Lions, and they get shellacked, and it wasn't even close. Jared Goff threw for 3 touchdowns. By the way, Jared Goff is 8-0 against the Arizona Cardinals in his career. Amazing fact to know, but it really made you concerned. I didn't think DeAndre Hopkins was that significant of an offensive assistance, especially against the Lions. I didn't think he would mean that much to lose him at all, but it did, because A.J. Green didn't have that great of a game. Kyler looked shocked. They made some really bad 4th down decision calls. The Lions had a 100% touchdown or field goal rate going into the year. They had 51 trips. The Cardinals were the first team to not get a score on the Lions' red zone defense, and it just was all bad. And, for the Colts, it's one of those things to where, look, I know the Colts, they're kind of like the opposite. There's something about the Colts that, they're rising. Jonathan Taylor, $170 on the ground. He is having an average season where he has 19 total all-purpose touchdowns, which ties him with Edgerrin James for the most by a Colts running back in Colts franchise history. Carson Wentz, winning more games. So he hasn't had to do a lot. He's done for about 300 yards, 3 TDs, and 1 pick in his last 3 wins. So he hasn't had to do a lot. I love the Colts defense. 2 out of the last 4 or 5 weeks, they got another blocked punt. E.J. Speed once again recovered for a touchdown. And I just think the Colts, they know how to play a style of football that I do not think the Cardinals can match at this point. And I just trust the Colts holistically in the spot to where Frank Reich can manage the game well with Taylor. I don't think the Cardinals defensive line will get a lot of pressure on Wentz or make him have a lot of hurried or tough decisions, because that's where Carson is the most messed up. When you put pressure on Carson Wentz's face, that's where he makes those silly, weird spinning, touchdown interceptions or the end zone interceptions at the 2-yard line, which, don't make any sense at all. And also, while I'm taking the Colts, is the Cardinals were 7-1 on the road, or 7-1 on the road. They are 3-3 at home. So obviously, the Cardinals at home do not have that home field advantage, do not have that confidence at home to win these type of games. And I just think, again, the Colts, they have a better offensive line, so I think the Cardinals' defensive pass rush will be able to kind of get neutralized a bit. I look at, Cameron Reynolds, the running back for the Lions. He had about almost 100 yards, a no-name that nobody knew of until Sunday, unless you were a diehard Lions fan with DeAndre Swift being out. I think Jonathan Taylor is going to have a very good game. I think he gets another 100 on the ground. And I just think, again, the Colts, once you beat the Patriots like that, I think the Colts defense will confuse and manipulate Kyler Murray enough that he's not nearly going to have a great enough game. He might throw 1 or 2 more turnovers. And the Colts capitalize on those turnovers for a huge win to pretty much secure their spot into the playoffs all in. But now it's going to be even bigger aspirations with the South, the AFC South still on the line for them going into Week 17. So that's why I like the Indianapolis Colts here, +1, but the Indianapolis Colts straight up. The next game, the Atlanta Falcons over the Detroit Lions. This is one to where I had a real urge to take the Detroit Lions if one thing didn't happen. So on Monday, the NFL had over 100 people, had 40 players test positive for COVID-19, and one of those players was Jared Goff. I do not know Jared Goff's vaccination status. I do not know if he's vaccinated, booster, or even got the booster or anything like that. I don't know. So with that being in mind, I believe it was Tim Boyle who started the Browns game, but they almost won. It's just part of me going, I just can't trust Tim Boyle. I know it's something where you can say, well, on the spread, you could take Detroit +4 and take Atlanta straight up. I know, but I think Atlanta, they played every bad team and played them well. They played Jacksonville. Well, they beat them. I don't know if they played the No, they haven't played the Texans. But, they played the bad teams well enough that I just feel like with Atlanta, they should be able to beat this Lions team. As great as the Lions showed themselves to be against the Cardinals, that seemed just more like a blip than the actual consistency the Lions could have moving forward. Who knows? If they win next week against Atlanta and do it the same way, the Lions will have a bit of a bright future, to say, for the first time since nearly, I think, 2014, the last time they made the play, or 2016, the last time they made the playoffs under Jim Caldwell. I just think, again, the Falcons, they have Cordell Patterson, they have Mike Davis, they have Pitts, they have a good enough offense with Zacchaeus engaged. I feel like the Falcons should be able to move the ball better against the Lions defense than what the Cardinals did. And I also just feel like, again, Matt Ryan's in a healthier state than Kyler is right now. And I just think the safeties and defensive back for the Lions will have a very tough time covering Kyle Pitts and trying to stop Cordell Patterson on the ground. If Goff was, fully eligible to play, and he still could be, I might switch my against the spread pick and take Detroit +4. But I just feel like with the Lions that was more just the Cardinals did not show up that day and were just kind of funky without DeAndre. I feel like, they're going to be motivated to go out there against the Colts. And I just feel like with the Lions, after what happened just 2 weeks ago, when they beat the Vikings, what happened against Denver, they got blown out. I'm not saying that the Falcons are going to do that, but I think the Falcons, the Lions always somehow, right when they get to that massive high, they always seem to get knocked down a bit. And I think the Falcons just play a little bit more consistently and steady to win this game. Kind of an interesting game for the Falcons, and a little bit interesting for the Lions, because I feel like Dan Campbell's going to keep his job. But it's how much optimism for the Lions fans, shout out to Halfman's Picks, moving forward should they have? It depends on these final 3 games, how well the Lions do, and if they win. So, we'll see about that. But that's why the Atlanta Falcons are -4, and the Atlanta Falcons straight up. The next game, the Cincinnati Bengals over the Baltimore Ravens. This is one to where I am taking the Cincinnati Bengals here because I just feel like the Bengals are a better overall football team. Trey Hendrickson has had a sack in, I believe, 11 straight games. He's been sensational. Joe Burrow is the leader in the league in terms of 30-plus air yards, in terms of touchdown throws. I thought it was a real gritty game by the Bengals. Both offenses were not getting a lick. They did a good job in limiting Melvin Gordon. Javonte Williams at 73 yards, but that's not great, but you could live with that. And I just feel like with the Bengals, they understand who they are, and here come the Ravens that understand that they are not 100%. Lamar Jackson, apparently he did not have a sprained ankle. He had a bone bruise on his ankle, which is significant, and they do expect him to play. But from what I've seen out of Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow, I'm going to take Joe Burrow to have more of a positive impact on the Ravens defense compared to Lamar playing against the Bengals defense, which did a sensational job against him just a few weeks ago. They won 41-17. Jamar Chase had his coming out party, had over 200 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns, including that 80-yard touchdown, which felt very reminiscent of A.J. Green over those couple years when he would make that same type of sensational catch against the Ravens. Do I think the Ravens have a chance? Yes, because I feel like the Ravens, they've been in every game. They're kind of like the Vikings. Now, we're like, they are in every game regardless of the injury type, regardless of who's playing, but they just make decisions at the end of games, or just they make some kind of blunder that makes you go, especially with Harbaugh over the last 2 weeks of his failed 2-point conversions, they go, why? We could have been 10-4 and taken over the Chiefs as the number 1 overall seed by beating the Steelers and the Packers, which nobody going into the game. Tyler Huntley, by the way, like I said, sensational game. And I'm just going to throw this out there, hot take. I'd let Lamar Jackson hit the free agent market and let Tyler Huntley try. I'm not saying that Lamar's not a better quarterback than Tyler Huntley, because I know Lamar's a better quarterback. All I'm saying is that financially, I'd rather keep Tyler Huntley on that $3 million contract and see how much he can grow compared to paying Lamar the $40+ million that we're going to have to pay him, due thanks to Josh Allen Mahomes, that I do not think he will ever live up to by winning a Super Bowl for the Baltimore Ravens. So, do I think, and I just feel like, again, the Bengals, they have some confidence. They have a healthier defense. I like Hilton. I like Bates. I like that secondary they have. I like Awuzie. Yeah, Awuzie. He's pretty good. The Bengals' offensive line is held up a little bit better than I thought. And I just think Joe Burrow was playing better than Lamar right now. And I think Joe Burrow gets that win to pretty much solidify themselves as the AFC North Division winner, while putting the Ravens further down the hole in terms of where our playoff chances lie. So that's like the Cincinnati Bengals here, -2.5, and Cincinnati Bengals straight up. The next game, the Los Angeles Rams over the Minnesota Vikings. I am taking the Los Angeles Rams here based on the fact of the Rams defense should all fully be healthy and coming back by this time next week. I think the Rams, they have a better offensive line. The Rams are a better receiving core. And just a part of me going Stafford and Cousins. Stafford knows playing Kirk Cousins over the past few years with the Detroit Lions. He knows how effective he can be. Cousins, had an okay game. Though that was a really impressive defensive performance by the Vikings, so I think coughed up 3 or 4 turnovers from the Bears offense. Or from Justin Fields and David Montgomery and a few other things. But I'm going to take the Rams here because I think the Rams just have better talent. They have more depth. And I trust their coaching and consistency more than I do the Vikings. Could the Vikings win this game? Sure. Are the Vikings going to be in this game? Absolutely. Because the Vikings have been in, 13 consecutive one-score games. And that continued even with Justin Fields throwing that Hail Mary throw to the third-string tight end for the Bears. His name was Jasper something or Jesper something. Jesper Hornstead, I think that was his name, but that was an amazing finish to keep the Vikings within one-score games. And again, I think the Vikings, look, they have the talent, they know the defensive scheme. I thought Cameron Dantzler played well because the Vikings cut Rashad Breeland earlier last week due to a verbal altercation he had with players and staff. Tough to see Rashad go like that, but again, hey, that's what you get when you make those confrontations that don't really make any sense or have any justification. I just also think with the Rams, I think Stafford was motivated. Look, because the Vikings played him tough. He was on the Lions, and he lost both of these heartbreaking games to the Lions the last couple years. Actually, I think over the last 2 years, I think Stafford and them have swept Stafford 2 consecutive years. I think Stafford will be motivated to play Kirk Cousins again and realize with a much better, much more diverse and complete team, the Rams should be able to win this game against the Vikings in a decent fashion. Could I see the Vikings winning this game? Sure. Because, every team somehow seems like every week now, there's always one significant upset in the league that nobody expects. This past week it was Arizona-Detroit. I guess it wouldn't be an upset, but this one could be definitely one of those moments too. So that's like the Los Angeles Rams here, -3, and the Los Angeles Rams straight up. The next 2 games, the New England Patriots over the Buffalo Bills. This is one to where I am taking the New England Patriots here based on the fact that they're at home and it's the Bills, and I just feel like they were frustrated against the Colts. Mac Jones had his worst game in 6 or 7 games. He threw 2 bad interceptions, one to Darius Leonard in the red zone, and the second one was to Okurgalele, the Colts number 58, on that great out route. And they also had the block punt, which I mentioned earlier. They missed Damian Harris because they really could not run the ball effectively. I thought that, the Colts running offense had a fantastic day. And I just felt like, again, Mac, he didn't have that big of a threat. Hunter Henry caught both touchdowns, but it just felt like for me, Mac Jones, when you gave up in that moment, it just felt like he couldn't reach up to it. So I think now for the Offensive Rookie of the Year, you got to move Jamar Chase back up into that top spot. I think he's had the best year out of all of them so far. And I get, and I also understand too, just 3 weeks ago, these teams played, and New England ran it 47 times, Mac only threw it 3 times, and they won the game 15-10. So I know the Bills are going to be motivated, and they are going to be angry, they're going to be ticked off about what happened, and they're going to want to show it. And I don't know if Mac Mac at home in that environment, if it's not raining, he'll have to throw it a few more times, but can he beat the first or second best overall defense in the entire league? I don't know. So, to me, it's like one of those things to where when you have these kind of games, I know that, Allen's better than Jones, but it just feels like everything else, it goes back to the Pats can run the football, and the Bills can't. But I'm going to take the Bills plus 2.5 because I know that the Bills are going to be wide awake, motivated to take the division lead from the Patriots in the AFC East and show that they can play a more, dominant game, and also just show that they were the better team in the first time. It was just circumstance, time, possession to come. So that's why I like the New England Patriots here to win straight up with the Buffalo Bills plus 2.5. The next game, the Jacksonville Jaguars over the New York Jets. I took the Jets because out of the past several weeks, I saw something out of the Jets that I was impressed with. For the Jags, you can fire Urban Meyer, you can move all the staff. The Jags are still the worst team in the entire football league, and once again, they have the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft for his second straight year in a row. It's very much going Dan Gilbert Cavs like, to where every year he'll get that number 1 pick, and the Jags still won't be able to do anything about it. And in this game, there's not a lot to talk about with this one. It's, like I said, it's Toilet Bowl Part 2. Jacksonville Texans might have been number 1. This is Part 2. I'm just going to take the Jets because they're at home, and I just trust Zach Wilson a little more than Trevor Lawrence. You could argue it the other way, and I completely understand. But at the end of the day, I've seen the Jets make some progress, and I'm going to go off of last game. The Jets were in this game against the Dolphins that nobody expected, where for the Jags, they went through all this stuff, and it just did not show they were motivated or ready to move forward with Darrell Bevell as their interim coach moving forward. I know Darrell's going to get fired at the end of the year, but he's trying to at least get another job for himself as another offensive coordinator somewhere else. So, we'll see. So, definitely, again, Pats, Bills, and Jags, Jets. Similar games, going to take the same outcome. One, I feel better about the coaching and the home field advantage. The other one, I just had to pick one, so I went with the Jets because I thought they were better than last week. So that's why I like Jacksonville here plus 2.5, but the Jets throw straight up. The next game, the Philadelphia Eagles over the New York Giants. This is one to where Daniel Jones is out for the year with a neck injury. The Giants, Sterling Shepard is out with an Achilles injury. That offensive line has been horrible. The Eagles are motivated because of what happened a few weeks ago in Daniel Jones' last game before he sprained his neck. They lost 13-7. Jalen had 3 interceptions, by far the worst game of his professional career. By far the worst game of this season. Maybe not professional, but of this season. And I just feel like for the Eagles, unless something significant happens of injuries tonight or if Jalen goes down, I think Gardner Minshew, going against Mike Glennon, Gardner Minshew can outthrow and beat Mike Glennon on his own. Depending on the other injuries, who knows? So I could possibly change my pick to plus 10, depending on what injuries happen tonight in the Washington-Philadelphia game. Hopefully none of that happens, but we'll have to wait and see. But I'm going to take the Eagles here, minus 10, based on the fact that I just think they're a more complete team. They're rested. They seem motivated. I just read something about Rodney McLeod and Nick Sirianni giving great sensational motivational speeches. And I think the Eagles get revenge on the Giants and win a game that they've won the last few years in a good consecutive amount and won X out of X over the last several years at home in the link for the Eagles. And that's enough for me to take the this week. So that's why the Philadelphia Eagles are minus 10 and Philadelphia Eagles straight up. The next game, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the Carolina Panthers. I'm taking Tampa Bay here because Carolina is a train wreck. Carolina really has nothing going for it. Cam is a shell of himself. McCaffrey's out for the year, injured. Matt Rule just doesn't seem happy. DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson disappeared. That Panthers defense that everybody thought was great just let Devin Singletary run for 86 yards. And it's very weird because I always feel like every time Brady plays the Saints the very next week against the Panthers, even with all the injuries that they suffered last week in Tampa against New Orleans, I still think the Bucs, with their ability to have offense, Antonio Brown coming back is huge, though also best wishes to Chris Godwin, who tore his ACL after hit by Stanley Gardner-Johnson, I believe, on Sunday Night Football. I think I think for the Bucs, this is a team they usually beat on pretty well. I don't think that it's going to be particularly close, even though Cam Newton is undefeated against Tom Brady in his time as a Panther in the beginning of his career. But this Panther team is a completely different situation, and I just do not have confidence in the Panthers being able to put up a fight. I thought for a second of how that Panthers-Bills game was going. I thought I could have got a field goal to end it, but Cam Newton threw an interception about 1 minute left, and it cost me the 4-point play. So thanks, Cam, for that one, but it's going to be a very tough time for the Panthers this Sunday at home, playing up against Tampa, one of the best division rivals, in a pretty much decisive slaughter. So that's why I like Tampa Bay here, minus 10.5, Tampa Bay straight up. The next game, the Los Angeles Chargers over the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans have swept the Jags, and they beat the Titans, which is a pretty impressive win. But besides that, the Texans have lost everything. The Chargers have been on a better roll as of late. They've won 2 of the last 3 games, and their third loss was this past Thursday in overtime to the Chiefs. I do think that some of the COVID reasoning for like Joey Bosa, who's definitely going to be out because he's not vaccinated, that's not the big of a surprise. I'm not going to go into that can of worms. But I just believe in this Charger team enough to go where they are just clearly better than the Texans in every single which way. And I think their talent overcomes for it with their execution, consistency, and aggressiveness that causes the Chargers to win this game by at least a score. Could the Texans maybe have a shot? You know, who knows? Davis Mills played okay, but he was playing the Jags defense. This is the Chargers defense. A lot more older men, grown men, determined men, and men willing to kick your rear ends for that defensive line. So that's all the Los Angeles Chargers here, minus 8, and the Los Angeles Chargers straight up. The next game, the Seattle Seahawks over the Chicago Bears. Russ is better than Fields. I know the Bears defense should have a decent day, and I know the Seahawks lost a few more of their guys due to COVID protocols. But at the end of the day, the Bears are just in a downward spiral. They've lost 8 of the last 9 games. Nagy's going to get fired. I just don't see where. And maybe the same thing with Pete Carroll, because Pete Carroll's not going to have that great of a year, but you could argue he finished on strong with 3 to 5 straight, victories. And I know Flores is happy that Flores has 7 straight wins. But at the end of the day, when you're in this kind of game, you're going to take the more experienced, more effective, and more dominant quarterback in this matchup, and that to me is Russell Wilson over Justin Fields. And the running games are about to push, though I like Montgomery and Herbert better than I do Collins, Penny, and then I forget the other one. But I'm going to take the Seahawks here to win just based on the fact that it's a much more complete team, a team that is still playing for something, where the Bears are just going to be playing for 3 paychecks that mean good for their families, but nothing moving forward to the postseason. So that's like the Seattle Seahawks here, minus 7. The Seattle Seahawks straight up. The next game, the Kansas City Chiefs over the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is one to where I'm going to take Mahomes in this offense with the Chiefs defense, which has held opponents to 17 or fewer points in the last 6 of their last 7 games, to beat a Pittsburgh team that's coming in there. And again, they've had a good history, Kansas City, even though, again, there are some 2 big moments over the last 5 years that people should remember in Kansas City. Number 1 was the game over the Steelers in 2014. Or 2015, which gave the Chiefs enough momentum to go on a 10-game winning streak. That was Pittsburgh KC. And in the 2016 divisional round, to where Chris Boswell, the fourth killer bee at the time, beat Alex Smith and the Chiefs offense 18-15 based off of 6 field goals by Chris Boswell. I think for the Steelers, Joe Hayden being back will be huge. I just have a feeling, though, with the Chiefs that they're at home. They've been dominant at home, and I think they get that monkey off their back, and when a competitive, hard-nosed defensive game that I think the Chiefs win based on just Mahomes' talent and being able to outthrow Ben in this offense in this big game. Also, by the way, I do want to say for Steeler fans out there, you got to give Najee Harris more opportunities to run the football. That's all I'm going to say. Just going to put it at that. But I like, so that's why I like Kansas City Chiefs here to win straight up with the Pittsburgh Steelers plus 10. The next game, the Las Vegas Raiders over the Denver Broncos. Teddy Bridgewater's in concussion protocol. I was hoping he was okay. Thankfully he was. He was able to move all extremities. He is in concussion protocol now, and Vic Fangio said the other day it is very unlikely that he's going to play. So that means give the saddle to Drew Lock, who ended up playing okay. He did throw that one touchdown to Tim Patrick, but at the end of the day, everybody's going to remember on 4th and 24, he ends up just throwing it out of bounds to the left sideline, and the Raiders hold on to win a game in a thrilling... I'm sorry, the Bengals. Bengals on a thrilling way, 15-10. The Raiders beat the Broncos earlier this year in Mile High with the emotion of John Gruden, on their minds. I'm hoping in the same way, maybe not for the Gruden perspective, but I'm hoping for the Broncos. They realize that, they're pretty much done. I know they're only 2 games back of first place for... I'm sorry. Yeah. They are 3 games back. They are 3 games back in the AFC West. I think the Chiefs win that division outright after what happened. But I'm going to take the Raiders here based on, better quarterback, healthier quarterback, better running game, and I just trust the Raiders to pull off another gritty, tough, physical W against a division, opponent. So that's why I like Las Vegas here, -1.5, and Las Vegas straight up. And then the final 2 games, the Dallas Cowboys over the Washington Football Team. We saw this game about 2 weeks ago, and the Cowboys whipped up on the Washington Football Team pretty well. They got us 4 turnovers. Micah Parsons had 2 sacks. Do I think they covered the 10.5? Yes, I do, because I just feel like there's going to be a moment to where Washington might get a huge turnover, or what happened in the game before with Cole Holcomb, who got the pick 6. He ended up tying the game, which was horrible. I'm sorry, he ended up being 1 score down, and I just think, again, in that kind of moment, I think that will happen again, and I think the Washington Football Team holds on much longer than people think they should. But I'm still going to take Dallas because I think, again, we just saw this game a couple weeks ago. Dallas wiped the floor with them, and they're probably going to win the NFC East tomorrow, or after Sunday, after they beat the football team in a very interesting game. So that's why Dallas here to win straight up, the Washington Football Team plus 10.5. And finally, the Miami Dolphins over New Orleans Saints. I'm taking the Dolphins over the Saints because of the quarterback. Tua, I think, is a better pure quarterback than Taysom Hill. I think Tua's got a tougher matchup going against the Saints defense compared to Brian Flores going up against the Raider defense. But at the end of the day, in this kind of game, you go with the better quarterback, and to me, that is Tua and his staff. I think that Miami defense will cause more havoc and destruction for Taysom Hill that he hasn't seen since week 1. And I think the Dolphins pull this one out in a tough, gritty, huge, substantial game. Not that many people want to talk about it, but this game is huge for the playoff contention for both seeds. The Dolphins, when they are definitely in the thick of it, and the Saints, I think if the Vikings lose, which I believe they will get to take that 7th seed, which would be massive for Sean Payton, leaving Drew Brees and everybody else behind to give them a chance to win and get in the playoffs. So that's all I like. Miami here +3 and Miami straight up. And that is it. So good luck to all players, coaches, teams, fellow prognosticators, and fellow fantasy players. I'm in a consolation bracket. Everybody out there that watches this video, tell me where you are in your fantasy league if you play one. And I hope everybody has a great and safe and healthy happy holiday. Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah. Merry Christmas, Happy Festivus. Happy holidays to everyone. And until next week, also please check out, before I go, please check out the NFL YouTube Prognosticators page. There are great people like Half Moon's Picks, Big Sports Talk, and Bridgewater's Finest, Andrew Warren, all those guys and gals that make videos just like I do every week for the football season. Check their videos out. There are plenty of channels down in the link below. Also, there is a guy named Philly Take with RB. Real good dude. He's a Philadelphia fan. Check out his content. He does a great job every single few days with his takes on the Philadelphia sports market. And that is it. So until next week, this is Matt the Fanatic signing off. Until next time, so long.